We are about to embark upon a series of strange and exciting, dangerous adventures. Adventures that will lead us to all parts of the world.
Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at Absolute Power Task Force VII Issue 2. This is a 7-part miniseries from DC Comics in 2024. And this issue is another standalone story, but it does lead into Absolute Power Issue 2. It's written by John Layman, art by Max Raynor, colors by Luis Gerrero, letters by Dave Sharpe, cover by Pete Woods, edited by Gillian Grant and Paul Kaminsky. So the Doom Patrol is on the surface. They've been battered and their powers stolen, except Robot Man, who is a construct. Now, Doom Patrol had been out testing their amphibious abilities of their Doom Patrol ship, and they found Aquaman and Tempest fighting a construct of some kind, which appeared to be an Amazo robot. So they tried to help out and ended up having their powers stolen. They run across Tempest, and they kind of compare notes. Obviously, since Aquaman's been captured, Atlantis might be a target, so they head down to Atlantis in their ship, and they find Depth Charge. That is the name of the Amazo bot that is supposed to pacify Atlantis. He's also got Aquaman captured, and he is using a combination of stolen powers from both one of the Doom Patrol members and Aquaman. Now, this applies to telekinesis and animal empathy, which is able to manipulate feelings, that sort of thing, but somehow the feedback also comes back onto Depth Charge. It's just part of the empathy power, and that is making him a little frenzied. He also has Elasto-Woman's growth abilities and Negative Man's negative energy bolts. So he's using those to try and keep down the Atlanteans. Aquaman tells them to stand down, but that's not good enough for Depth Charge. He doesn't want them listening to Aquaman. He wants them listening to him. Things get a little out of hand, and unfortunately the heroes realize that they are out of their depth, for lack of a better pun, but Aquaman has a plan. What I really liked about this issue is Aquaman is not treated like an idiot. For some reason, a lot of people think he's a joke. He's King Arthur under the sea, but they treat him like a joke character, so he's often portrayed as kind of dumb, but that is not the case here. I thought he was handled really well, and it was nice to see the Doom Patrol helping out in the storyline here. And where they're going looks pretty interesting. I'm real interested to see Absolute Power Issue 2 now. There is a epilogue on here with Steve Trevor, and it's pretty obvious that Sarge Steele's setting him up, and things aren't looking good for Steve. But overall, I thought this was a great standalone that ties in well to the miniseries. The art's pretty solid. I like the cover. It does relate to what's going on. There is a sense of action to it, which is really cool. The professor doesn't appear in here, but he's on the cover for some reason. Nonetheless, pretty solid cover. Probably would have got me to buy the book, even though it was a mini-series, but since this is a standalone issue that only the epilogue really ties in, the Steve Rogers part, or the Steve Trevor parts, I've probably called him Steve Rogers a few times. It's a great standalone that only has the Steve Trevor parts at the end that are in the epilogue, tying into the previous issue. The rest is sort of exploring a different aspect of what's going on, and I thought it worked really, really well, and it set up issue 2 pretty well for Absolute Power. So while I don't think this is critical to the miniseries, I am going to recommend getting it if you're reading the miniseries, because this does have a lot to do with why Atlantis is not in play and what Aquaman's doing and how he got to where he's at. So a very fun issue with some pretty interesting story elements, and like I said, it was really fun to see the Doom Patrol having a pretty big part in this story that is part of a bigger miniseries. So a really solid issue overall, and I was very happy with it. But that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one.